PHOGS. Hello everyone, good morning. It is time for PHOGS. This is a excellent speed game, so let's go ahead and get started right away. So time will start on first movement after selecting a save, so I will give a countdown. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so I'm Sean, I'm running PHOGS. I run lots of other strange games as well, and with me on commentary I have
Author Blues. Hey.
Yeah, so it's intended as a co-op game, but you can also play it solo by using each joystick to control each head independently, as well as you can bark with either bumper and stretch with either trigger. And The game does not have a jump button or anything that remotely resembles things that you can do movement tech with, but despite that, this game is somehow extraordinary. And to show that,
so we're going to start with a skip right away.
Yep, this tube's going to spit me out, and I'm just going to immediately get back in, and then jump over an invisible wall here, and that skips about 4 minutes of content.
Yeah, there's a huge tutorial here where it tries to teach you about the ways that you interact with the world, the ways that stretching can solve problems, how you basically interface with the entire game, and it's climbing this giant tower, so the fact that Sean can prevent himself from falling off makes a huge difference. We're also going to start right away with a type of skip here where he's going to force himself into the loading trigger underneath the worm. Basically, the way these loading triggers work is it counts the number of heads that are inside the loading trigger. When you enter the trigger, it adds 1 to the counter, and when you move out of the trigger, it subtracts 1 from the counter. It's waiting until that counter gets a 2 for both of the heads. But it turns out if you respawn inside of the trigger, it never subtracts 1. So if you just put your head inside there twice, that's good enough.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that on every worm, the trigger pokes out below slightly, but that will differ depending on the world we're in. So on that one there, it is a dome shape and it's quite large. Once we get to play world, they're going to be a rectangular prism, and they're going to be very, very small. They're going to be barely poking out below. So those ones are going to be much harder.
So this game's made up of 3 worlds. Each of the worlds kind of represents, the features of a PHOGS life. There's sleep, play, and eating. And each world has 6 levels with a boss fight at the very end of them. You have to beat each of the levels to unlock the next one, and then you unlock the boss level after you've beaten all 6 levels. This is the only world in which there's a feasible route to getting to the boss early, and so this world actually will be quite a bit shorter than any of the others, because Sean is going to get immediately into the boss trigger through a series of extremely complicated skips. No part of this is straightforward.
This is the single hardest thing in the game right here, this book.
Yeah. So, as mentioned before, there's no jump button in this game, so the method by which you jump is actually barking while stretching, and that gets you a little bit of height. As you can see, Sean has quite a ways to climb because the platforms and the elevators and all of that hasn't loaded yet because he hasn't gotten this far through the world. So he's needing to use the slope of this book to kind of stretch and unstretch against to launch himself up, and he has to get pretty high up.
Okay.
It's not over yet.
Step 1 done of like 5. This is a ridiculous skip. It's unreasonable. So I'm trying to get myself lodged between this bear here so that I can get myself up like this, and now I have the leverage I need to pull the whole body up, and that is step 2, and there's plenty more to come. We're nowhere close to done yet. Get up here, bear cooperated. Sometimes the pull-up can be a little finicky.
So all this was just to get to the second half of this hub world. We haven't even gotten to the skip yet. This is just reaching the area where other levels are.
Yeah, there is actually a version of this that is done after doing 3 levels where you can already get up here just naturally by the stuff that spawns into the hub world. I'm going to reset that. I do not trust that setup. This setup is terrifying. I'm going to be very careful with this because if I fail now, we go back to the book. There's no checkpoints or anything up here.
Yeah, there's no way to stick around. Okay.
Okay. One more step.
Fortunately, of all the things that you can stick yourself to, the alarm clock is very good for not moving, which is kind of a key element of this.
Ooh, that's scary. I don't trust this. Come on, please. Please work. Please make it far enough. It's so close. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my.
The run's good.
Oh my God, that was so stressful.
Oh.
Okay, so there was a very distant trigger that you're supposed to ride a floating boat out to over a very long period of time. That's why it's so far away. And he just launched himself there.
But yeah, that's. I had a safety save for that.
There's a very large save bubble here that Sean had to hit in order to skip opening a door there. This boss has sort of like it sort of has a life bar, and it's measured by turning on these switches. We're gonna skip all of them because each one of them incurs a cutscene of some sort, and we don't want to watch the cutscenes. It is gonna make the overall cutscene of this boss fight ending a little strange, but
I don't want to hurt this guy.
yeah, that's true.
He's
He
a friend.
seems nice.
He's just hanging out over there.
You can kind of see instantly as we've started this this game that the main theme is that there's a lot of stuff to interact with, and we would like to do as little of that as possible. Interacting with stuff is slow, and flinging yourself across the stages is much faster.
Which side of the I'm making
Just gonna split the middle, huh?
That's the worst option. Actually, no, that's better than going to the right. Going to the right is much, much slower, so I'll take that. And nice little anti-soft lock mechanism here. You're supposed to have a what is called a glorb with you. It's like a glowing orb. We never got it because that would take time to get it, but the game doesn't want to let you be up here without it because you need it. So it just gives it to
you might drop it accidentally, so it has a mechanism for respawning it just in case.
It's really, really handy. And that is the end of Sleep, so that is about a third of the game done. But unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, because the levels are cool,
Not a third of our time.
yeah, there's much more of the game to go. This is the only boss trigger that is active from world start. The rest you have to beat all 6 levels for them to become active. So this is the only real full skipping several levels skip.
That doesn't mean that we're going to play the levels. It just means that we're going to have to enter them at least.
Yeah.
In order to spawn the successive levels and the boss fights eventually. I do want to point out something. I think that this game, it's not obvious what makes sort of the mechanics, the physics so challenging. And I think the big thing that may not be obvious from looking at it is whichever neck starts stretching, the opposite head is kind of an anchor point. And so it's very difficult to like pull yourself up. You can reach higher platforms, but in general, this game does not have a physics system that really encourages you to pull yourself up to higher places. And so a lot of times what you have to find is either ways to like get yourself stuck on something or grab something. And so a lot of these, it's just not possible to do it in a really straightforward way. This is a big skip right here.
It's
if
also
Sean can get
very
it.
difficult.
Yeah. The second half of the level is right behind you when you start, but it's quite a long ways away, and there's a death plane here. Also, you have to hit the water in just the right way, and Sean gets it. One thing about the death planes is that both heads have to be inside the death plane at the same time for it to kill you. There's fairly obvious reasons why that would be the case in casual play, but it also benefits us a lot in the speedrun, because as long as both heads aren't in the death plane at the same time, you can actually just cross them. You can move across death planes that you shouldn't be able to.
Yeah, in the case there, Redhead was very much in the death plane. It was only Bluehead that escaped.
The central mechanic of Play World, each world has its own kind of mechanism for how you traverse it. The mechanism for Play World is you're supposed to play these little mini games that will spawn these gachapon capsules that have stars in them, and once you get enough stars, the snake will open up and let you move on to the next area.
Beautiful.
That was really good.
So
Sean's going to be doing a lot to skip those where possible.
Yeah, that's an interesting fling there, because most of the times when you're doing those, you want to go as far as possible. That's the only real example where your goal is to actually limit the height you get, so that you can sail like cleanly through that window. It's very, very hard to do. So I'm happy about that.
So you can see Sean got one of the stars and the snake just opened its head. That won't always be the case. Sometimes he'll have to clip into the loading zone underneath it. Sometimes he'll have to do a much more difficult strategy, or arguably more difficult strategy, of despawning some of the collision boxes. We'll see those when they come up. This next level is actually my favorite in the game.
It's really good.
It may not be your favorite, but I think the tricks for putting pirates is one of the one I'm most fond of.
It's one of those, like, there's a lot of miracle skips in this run where if the game behaved slightly differently, they just wouldn't work at all. There's so many parts for the skip that's coming up that need to go right, that the game needs to work in a very specific way, and it just does. It's really incredible.
Yeah, so the mechanic here is that you're playing golf against an opponent, and it's counting the number of strokes, and you get a prize for keeping the number of strokes low. And the way it does that is when you grab the golf ball, it locks into place and allows you to aim it and shoot it. In almost every scenario, when you grab the golf ball, it locks you to it. But in this specific case, we are going to be able to move it in such a way that's going to really benefit us a lot here.
And make some lovely sounds that I hope that are coming through.
They're lovely. So when he re-grabs this ball, it's going to lock into place. Oof.
It's a strange setup, but
yeah,
I
a little
believe,
weird.
Yeah, we're good. Easy.
That was great, yeah.
All right, I'm gonna give this like 2 attempts.
All right.
This is
so he's gonna try to clip
tech
through the snake.
Maybe.
There's no way to control the camera in this game. The camera kind of does what it wants to, but you can use your emotes to see where your head is, even when it's not visible.
Maybe. All right, this is my last attempt, and then I'm doing the backup.
Is the loading zone here just kind of smaller?
It is a tiny, tiny rectangle that you're only going to be in for like about a frame. Got it.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. I should point out, we know a lot of this information. We know what the loading zones look like and how a lot of the mechanics work because a community member, CaliMag, actually designed a trainer for this game, a little tool that we can open up and we can see all of the collision boxes, we can see where the loading zones are, we can see where the death planes are, we can see markers that tell us when we're inside of transition zones. Basically, any piece of information we would need to be able to figure out these skips was built by CaliMag, and while some skips were found before CaliMag's tool was developed, that tool single-handedly revolutionized this game.
Yeah, CaliMag's a legend. They're the only reason that this game is remotely
basically
as cool
none
as it
of
is.
what you're seeing in this version of the run right here would be possible without CaliMag's tool.
And this air hockey paddle is very cool because it's locked by a y-axis, so it is.
Yeah, so this
never
is
going up or
5-star
down.
arcade, so you're supposed to play 5 minigames?
I don't think so.
Of those 5 minigames, how many of them are we going to see?
Well, you're seeing a few of them.
Okay, we'll pass by them.
I will touch 0. Well, that's not true. I do touch the air hockey because it's the best
You did
minigame.
touch the air hockey paddle, yeah.
I'm already at the end of the level.
So this is the version of the skip that I would say is a little more difficult. So what Sean's doing here is he's trying to like drape the body across the head in such a way that the game thinks that the fog is stuck inside of the snake's head, and so it removes the collision from the front of it to let you out. And so by despawning that, he's allowed in instead.
That was a really good 5-star too. That can be very finicky depending on how fast you get that skip. When I used to run this game, I didn't care too much about this level, but lately where sometimes you just lose 20 seconds if you fail that, it's become a big deal when 20 seconds has started to become a big deal.
Yeah, that's the crime of getting too good at a video game. So this, I've never done this skip before because I've only played in co-op and there's some challenges that go along with that. But this, I think, has one of the coolest skips in the game.
This skip is incredible. It is definitely the furthest we will fly sort of out of bounds, I guess is the word. It's the biggest jump we're going to do, if you want to call it a jump, in the game. It's quite something.
This is to be honest, a little bit of a boring level from a speedrun perspective. There's not a lot interesting going on if you don't do this big skip. So it's really a miracle that this skip was found. Because it's really just, I mean, it's not a lot going on. You're just riding rails.
Yep. And getting very trolled by this. There we go. So that's the first island there, and all the action happens on the second island. So there's a bumper car mini game up here. We're going to go past it immediately, but we will be back. The bumper car is a fantastic object because it has the very unique property that if you grab it with one head, it will force the other head inside, or at least it will try to. I guess as a safety protocol, you know, keep all limbs inside the vehicle. But it means that it's going to be putting a lot of force onto us. And if we can prevent it somehow from actually being able to force us into the bumper car, we can make some stuff happen. So we're going to go grab this block and launch it up. And
this block is a very strange object. The way that it moves, it does not look like it should move the way that it does, but we're going to get it completely out of here. Thank goodness that's possible. And then he's going to use it to basically anchor one head while the other is fooling around with this.
Gotta be on.
Of course, we have to
30
gotta
FPS
be on 30
here.
FPS.
It's God's FPS. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're good. And then this happens, and then you just go to the end of the level, which is all the way over here. It's very, very far. Thank God this works.
Yeah, it's kind
no
of a
other
miracle
way
that it does, because in most cases, there would be something else stopping you. Maybe the capsule doesn't appear, the loading zones don't appear, but for some reason this platform is spawned, the capsule appears, the head opens on the worm correctly. It doesn't make sense why this should be possible, but it is.
And that is going to be the end of Cosmic Coaster, and the first real break we have from really cool content, because it is now time for kind of boring content outside of actually getting the magic box. Getting the magic box is very fun. It's the best part of this split, and then once you're in the magic box, it quickly gets way worse.
And it kind of sucks because this would be a prime level to skip, because it's on top of not being terribly interesting for a speedrun, it's also needlessly difficult.
It's going to be basically the only level where we are actually playing the game as intended at some points, and I hate it. It's very difficult. Actually playing this game is quite hard. But there's not too much to talk about for at least the first little bit of this level, so if we want to do 2 or 3 donations, we can probably do that now.
Yeah, you've got it. We've got $100 from Johnny Moose Prime. It says, "Good luck with the run, Shawnee, and Author Blues on the commentary. It was a blast glitch hunting with you in the early days, and it's amazing to see how far you've taken this game. The PHOGS community is one of the best around. Hopefully we can get a co-op run into a future marathon to show off that run as well."
Jonimus found a lot of really cool skips in Dream World initially. I would point to which ones those are, but that's the world that we skip entirely now.
Yeah, I will say routing this game was one of, throughout 2021, was one of the best experiences I've ever had with speedrunning. There was a period where basically a minute would come off the run every day as we sort of started to understand how the game worked more, and it was just a really fantastic experience.
We probably have time for 1 or 2 more donations if you'd like.
Yeah, sure thing. I've got $10 from Chaos Peach that says, "Let's go, Sean. Much love from your favorite IT Discord server." And I have another donation here from Moon SC for $25 that says, "Hey, Sean, good luck on the run. Foggers."
Foggers. Big Fog Champ.
Big Fog Champ. I will point out that while this level is slightly less interesting, it does have one mechanic that doesn't really show up in any other level, which is the size change technique here. The fact that you can change the size of the heads does have one kind of cool side effect, and that's that the animation of the worms, the way that they kind of like move around and idle and their mouths open and close, that's actually real. It's not just an animation. It's totally real, and so when their lips part just barely, the tiny dog can fit through that in a way that he really shouldn't be able to, which does make for kind of a cool skip.
Yeah, this is Island 2 of Magic Box. It's the only good island of Magic Box. Even that, it's ridiculously hard. So one of the unique mechanics of these gravity fields here is that when you stretch when you're inside them, it's gonna greatly increase your speed. So we're just gonna do this and fly all the way over here. And now I'm gonna make a decision of whether I wanna be risky or not. And I'm leaning towards no, but I'll make it at the last second. So there's two ways I can do this here. I can either go, cool, my choice was made for me by hitting the lip there. So if you get a perfect launch off that, you can land on the blocks to the left there, bounce off them, and then land up here. It's quite a bit faster. It is very, very difficult. The camera is in the worst possible position for it, so you cannot see anything that you're doing. So I'm happy that the game made the choice to let me do the easier option.
Looks like you're right here at about the right time
Great
for the
RNG.
animation too.
Yeah, that animation's RNG, so they just do it when they feel like it. It's one of the only real RNG things in this entire run. This is a very consistent game somehow.
Yeah, the physics might be a little bit unpredictable when you're learning the game, but ultimately everything is in your control for the most part.
And here's the first minigame that we are actually going to play, and I dread it every time. Gotta grab these shapes, put them in the holes. The shapes can either decide to cooperate or more often than not decide not to cooperate, but they're being great now.
Oh yeah, that was they went right into the spots.
Goated shapes game there, really impressive stuff. Oh, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I believe it's possible to skip this, but not in a way that's like reliably faster.
You can go around it. The problem is there's no good way to clip into the worm at the end here. So we have to actually open these capsules. Well, we're not going to open them. So there's a range around the capsules where if you exit that range, they'll open automatically. So we just need to spawn them, and then they'll open automatically when they get to the right spot. But we do actually need to play these mini games because we don't really have a way of getting into the worm. And just finishing up Magic Box here. Just gonna boost off that and do the long walk to the end. So because of this little perspective trick here that they're doing, the worm at the end here is slightly smaller than any other worm in the game. And as a result, none of our entry methods really work. So you just gotta do the level, unfortunately.
What a bummer.
But now we are moving on to a much more exciting content level, Stationary Village. Another level that fills me with dread.
It has some really weird tricks.
It's a strange level, and as I've discovered recently, it's actually really hard. It's another sort of situation where
The better you get.
when the skip, when I first got the skip, it's like, oh, the skip saves 2 minutes, so like as long as I save 2 minutes with it, I'm good. That's pretty easy. And then it's also like you get a good one in a run, and you're like, oh, I have to do this within like 20 seconds, or else I'm losing a ton of time. And then
So Sean's going to jump off
scary.
immediately here and then hit this sort of like launch zone that just speeds you up in whatever direction you're facing. So he uses it to skip a small amount of the level.
Yeah, and we're gonna start using ice here. Very cool gimmick, pun intended. So if you bark while you're iced, it will basically let you jump because your body's completely ridden. We're gonna do a pause buffer jump here to get a bark on every frame to get the best possible jump, so that we can jump all the way over to these blocks and then be very careful here and don't fall off.
So what he's trying to do is he's trying to climb these blocks at the moment to try to get up to the loading zone that's underneath a platform.
Nice.
That was really good. That was a good jump.
Okay.
So that skips quite a bit of the level.
That is also, unfortunately, the easy part of the level. So it's now time for the worm entry, which it's going to be the same sort of deal we did on Putting Pirates, but this setup is way worse.
And you can't see very much. I mean, even less than usual.
Nope, this is going to take a while probably. So, if you got a donation, you can probably read it out here. Never mind. I'm very sorry to the host. I do not have donation time for you because that just worked.
Yeah, we're heading into the boss. We're gonna meet the Baron of Fun, Frederick Von Fun.
So, The way this boss fight works is there's 4 mini games. The first 3 are selected in a random order through a spinner, and then the final one is played after that. It is possible to enter the spinner multiple times while it is spinning, and each time you do that, it will skip one of the first 3 mini games, so it can skip up to a total of 3 mini games doing that. There's a one-way wall that is going to try and push us in, so we have to find the spot that you can touch the trigger without touching the one-way wall, because once you touch the one-way wall, you're in and then you can't exit anymore. So hopefully this goes well. If it doesn't go well, we're going to have actual time for donations. Nope. 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 That is a double, so we're going to be skipping 2 mini games. And we're going to be playing the shooting game, which takes about a minute, so we have a minute for donations here. Nothing really to talk about.
Not the worst one to get, though.
No, it is the actual best one to get.
Sure thing. Well, Sean, you're going to love this donation because we've got $500 from Bitloom. They say, good luck, Sean A. Thank you for completely destroying our game in the most wonderful ways. Love
Thank you
from the Bitloom team.
Thank you for making this awesome game. It's a great game. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, for what it's worth, we skip a ton of really great stuff, and even the levels that we keep saying are kind of boring or annoying, it's mostly in a speedrun context. This game is super charming and a really great co-op game. I love asymmetric co-op games, and this is a super fun one to play.
All right, so that is that. Very good mini game to get. There is the Shapes game that takes about 2.5 minutes, whereas that takes about 1 minute. So very happy to get that one instead of the other. And now we're going to drop down into the... yeah, the hammer one's slightly longer, not too much longer. But we're going into
we're playing
final
tennis
game here.
The rules of tennis, if you're not familiar with tennis, every time you hit the ball, you earn a point, and we're going to be as fair as possible to Frederick, and just, we don't want to bother him, we're going to hit the ball, and just respawn every time to get the ball back on our side.
It's really nice that this works out, because this, if you're playing this section the intended way, it's very inconsistent for how long it's going to take. A lot can happen. But we're into the final phase here, so I just need to slap a few more balls at them. A couple more. And there we go. That is the end of Frederick, and just about the end of play. We just got to teach him a lesson in sportsmanship here. He thinks he won. We clearly outplayed him. So it's embarrassing, really. So we're just going to teach him a lesson here.
What a terrible sport.
Really? Beat him at every single minigame. All 4 of them. And there we go. So that is 2/3 of the game done. So we're going to be heading into the final world, which is food. So you're probably seeing me click the menu a lot. It's just to skip cutscenes. Because typically when you're entering and exiting worms for the first time, there's cutscenes involved. So it's just a handy way to skip all of them.
Food World has some really cool levels, and we're going to play a few of them somewhat intended, but most of them we're just going to skip over a large portion of it, which is probably for the best because there are some mechanics in here that are very unpredictable for a speedrun, so the more we can avoid those, the better.
I'd say in general, sort of any actual intended mechanic is pretty inconsistent.
I mean, that's the cost when you have a game that's entirely built on the back of a physics engine, is that not all the time do physics do what you want them to do.
Yeah, but this first level here, Jumpkin' Patch, is fairly tame, so if the hosts have anything they want to say, they can go ahead.
Yeah, sure thing. I've got $25 from Aura/Alexis. They say, hey, Sean, definitely not watching this while working. But the work Discord server is cheering you on. This run is great, and I'm loving the physics abuse. I've got $15 from Marduk that says, had to donate for PHOGS. Weird game, great runner, and commentary. Sick hub world skip. Time for one more?
Yep, we can go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I've got $25 from Captain Snuggles that says, never seen PHOGS before. I'm watching very carefully and, nope, no idea what's going on. Love it. Also, what?
Yeah, well, if you want to play the game casually, we're not really spoiling much here.
No.
You're not seeing the casual playthrough of the game at all. It's very nice.
So just to kind of add to something I mentioned earlier, so every world has its sort of unique mechanic. The unique mechanic for this one is that the worms will open their mouths when you bring them food, right? This is the food world. And so a lot of these, the goal is to bring them something they can eat, whether you grow it yourself or you bring it from somewhere else. We're still going to employ the same tricks as before, but occasionally it'll make more sense to just bring them food and you'll see them open their mouths.
Yeah, in general, food bringing is much faster than like capsule opening. There's not really cutscenes associated with it. You don't have to spend time opening the capsule, so we're going to be opening a lot more worms in this world than we would in play. Nice. Going into the third island here.
This is a pretty cool skip coming up. So Sean's going to get up on this platform, and then when he does, he's going to immediately bear left up onto this corn because it's going to skip an actually pretty long cutscene. It's like 18, 20 seconds long, something like that.
Around 20 seconds. This is Yours and Gilder's find, right?
Yeah. It's one of the few things that we still have on the board.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, you know, not to downplay it. I mean, we found a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of it's been obsoleted at this point. But yeah, a lot of the time, really just the question is avoiding the cutscenes because there's no reason to watch them if you're not going to engage with the mechanics directly anyway. Sometimes skipping the cutscenes will prevent certain things from loading or something like that. But I mean, if you're going to just clip into the worms in a lot of cases, it's not going to matter. And in this case, it doesn't really change anything that's loading on this area.
So that's a nice, tame, easy level down. It is now time for hell.
So next up is kind of what I was hinting at when I said that there's a lot of sort of unreliable or unpredictable things in this world. The Munchlets are probably the best example of that. Yeah,
this level's got 3 skips, really. They're all some of the hardest skips in the game, some of the most inconsistent skips in the game. And to have this late in the run is always terrifying. But it's less... Technically, you can do the worlds in any order, but even though this is terrifying, it's less terrifying than having to do, like, play last.
Yeah. So you'll remember that I mentioned earlier that whichever head kind of is doing the stretching, the other head is the anchor. And so it makes it kind of hard to, like, pull yourself in any particular direction. So we're going to use the Munchlets here, which you're supposed to be able to grab onto. They're these creatures that are just hungry for food.
What a legend.
Yeah, he just came right to you. Yeah. We're going to use them as an anchor point. They can't be pulled through the fence, but you can grab them through the fence, and we're going to use them as an anchor point to, like,
I don't like that.
Fling.
I'm gonna...
Yeah, that was looking a little sketchy.
Yeah, I did not have enough force, I could already tell.
But he came right back to you.
Luckily, I got incredible RNG again. Really,
is there a difference between the small ones and the big ones?
It's hard to tell. I've done it with all of them, so I don't think it matters, but sometimes it feels like it does. Anyways, that's the first skip down. That went quite well. And now we're going to just bring this fruit to the worm, open them up, and head on to the second island, where easily the hardest part of this level is.
Yeah, this level, from a speedrun perspective, is really just that trick repeated quite a few times, finding some way to mount onto something and fling past things, because engaging with the Munchlets directly is a nightmare. Yeah,
unfortunately, the Munchlets are, as far as things to fling off, so long as you have that fence, is quite good. We don't have that now. We have to do a much more, very unique setup found by Calimog. That is, I believe, found by Calimog. That is,
yeah, this one's pretty sketchy.
Much scarier. So we're gonna take this asparagus, rhubarb thing, vegetable, grab this checkpoint for safety.
Golden celery.
golden celery, and bring it to the gap between the second and third post here, and then grab it from the other side to get that, and then...
It can come through, but it shouldn't.
That looks really good. Wow.
Yeah, that was a hell of a launch. That was fantastic.
Amazing. I'm happy about that. So we're up here now. This is the end of the island. We just got to cut down this big celery. And finish that off.
That berry's rolling around, but it's staying put.
Yeah, it can definitely be scary. If it falls off, you have to go back and get it again, which is a waste of time.
And then I love this last launch the most because I cannot tell you, viewer, how many iterations of strategies for getting up to the tree and growing the tree we went through in this speedrun. So just being able to skip it entirely is fantastic.
Yeah, what tree?
Yeah, no tree.
I just go to this thing and then it sort of works out sometimes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait for the launch to happen before you...
Yeah, it just works every time.
That was a great launch.
I think. We're good.
Okay.
I'd like this guy to move.
So this last section here, you're supposed to grow the berry and then take it over. Oh my god, I can't believe you got away with that.
I can't believe it either.
Okay, so you're supposed to corral the munchlets into the fences to kind of keep them away from it, because if they even get close to it, for a moment, they will eat it. It doesn't matter whether they stay on it. It doesn't matter if you take them away from it. If they just get in range of it, they will eat the berry and you'll have to start over. So having 6 of them run around there is very sketchy. And somehow they all ran right for the berry and Sean got away with it.
I don't know how that worked out, but I didn't see anything else that looked like an opening, so I kind of had to commit. And it worked out, so I'm happy with that. So Sunday Springs used to be a very tame level. One of those sort of jump and patch likes where you just go to the end, but don't really do anything exciting until last year, where the last full minute saving skip in this game was discovered, and it's quite good. It's a good one. It's another one of those miracle skips that needs a lot of stuff to work right to work, and it just works.
This is another one of those levels, too, that, like, from a speedrun perspective, the mechanics can be a little bit unpredictable, and so the fact that you aren't having to engage with a lot of them directly means that this run can be more consistent,
even
if the skip
wheel?
itself is tough. Yeah, I don't remember it fondly, at least.
Not that this wheel's much better, but...
Yeah, so Sean's gonna, like, get himself stretched out here and launch. That looked like a good launch to me.
Yeah, we're good.
That's fantastic. Okay, so we're in a totally unloaded area right now, which is usually a pretty big problem in this game. Usually if you get yourself to an area that's totally unloaded, there's really just not anything you can do there to progress, but he can actually make his way over here to one of these worm heads, and by some small miracle, the placement of this cookie on the wall allows him to jam both heads into the loading zone in a way that really just shouldn't be possible.
No! That was strange. There is a death plane very close below that worm. I got a weird stretch there and things didn't work out, but honestly, I feel like I'm quite a bit ahead of my estimate right now, so I'm fine with that. Because this is like the first thing that's actually gone wrong in the run somehow.
Yeah. And the fact that you got that launch twice cleanly, I mean, that launch on its own is not trivial.
It's not too bad. There's a setup. But yeah, so the goal here is to get both heads below the worm at the same time without touching the death plane that's just a tiny bit lower. Oh, I got the same thing again. Where's me? Get in there. No! Oh no! Oh jeez.
We're getting punished by the PHOGS for our hubris.
Yeah, welcome to PHOGS. If you're curious what the average PHOGS speedrun looks like, it's something like this.
Yeah.
I very recently, I think just this weekend, get up there, 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 get up there. I don't think I'm getting up there. But yeah, I had a run this weekend that was a minute 38 ahead until right here. And then basically that's happened. and I ended up about a minute behind. So I'm not too surprised. What the heck was that? I'm surprised by that one. I'm being bullied right now. I do not appreciate it.
For being such a wonky physics engine, we've had an undeservedly great run so far. So it was only a matter of time before
Okay,
we had
that should be good.
something pick up.
All right, this time for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be the one.
I can't say I was expecting Sunday Springs to be the troll level of the run. But it's better than other options. It's better than Sleep Skip being the troll of the run.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's better
There were
than...
so many places it could have gone way worse.
Okay. Okay, we're good.
There we go. Now the level's not over. This just takes us to the next zone. And fortunately, since we went through one of the worms, we've properly loaded it this time, which means everything's here.
Everything's here, and it's quite standard. Well, standard in the, again, jump and patch sense. We're not really doing any of these puzzles, but we are touching the terrain, which makes it different from most of the other levels. Bring over to these munchlets here, which can be kind of mean. Gotta get them to eat this. We're good. So, here's actually the newest strat in this run. Found either 1 week or 2 weeks ago by Kalimog. It's a fairly obvious jump that no one really just realized you could do, which is that. Saves about 5 seconds.
That's way easier than what everyone else does.
Yeah, it's pretty free. And bring it to the end to finish off the level here. Why am I pausing? So next level here is Hot Fudge Falls, which I believe would be the most similar level to when you were playing.
Yeah.
It's mostly intact.
And I believe this was a strat that me and Gilder found when we ran it.
It's
Gilder's my
slightly
co-op partner.
adapted, but yes.
Yeah. You've definitely optimized it way more than we ever did. But
I shaved about 5 seconds off what you do, yeah.
But in our first pass of routing, this was I'm proud to say this is one of my few remaining contributions to this run, me and Gilder, and it allows us to skip almost the entire level in a kind of fun way. Still have to get to that point.
Yeah, so it's also a little bit of a shame because the part of the level that we skip is, I think, one of the coolest parts of the game.
There's some cool stuff in this level, yeah. So this level's all about making a stew, a dessert, something like that.
Making fudge, I think.
Yeah, making fudge. The octopus chef is going to do that with you. Unfortunately, oh my god, it just he saw the berry fly away.
I'm very
like, good
happy
enough.
it actually opened the worm.
Yeah, no kidding.
There's a backup there. You can do the like enter from below method, and that works, but it loses time.
Yeah, so coming up is a part where you're supposed to help a octopus chef make fudge, and once you've done so, he sort of pours out all of the chocolate down this long river. Turns out you don't really need to do any of that because while you might think that you would need chocolate in the river to swim, turns out you can still swim even if there's no chocolate.
Yeah. It's very handy. And
so we're just going to head to the end of the level despite the fact this river is completely dry.
Yeah. Cut a little corner here, go into this dude's condo, timeshare. And respawn there just to, because that checkpoint's really large, it's actually going to be faster to get you to the center of the checkpoint. And we're just going to finish off the level here. That went pretty well.
Yeah, that went really smoothly. So that's the end of the dessert portion of this world. Now we're going to move into, what, Jelly Junction next?
Fruity Factory, which
Fruity
is
Factory.
a very cool level. It's got 2 skips that are the same skip. It's quite nice.
It's a really unique strategy that we'll talk about when we get to, but it's an unbelievable... It's weird that this is possible. You'll see.
Back in like 2021, I remember trying this so many times and never being able to get the setup right and never making it close, really. Because it's so tempting. You can see to the left there's some terrain. That is the end of the level.
Yeah.
So long as you can get there, well, you can do some stuff, but you gotta get
often
there.
the game will have the terrain very close to one another so that you can see it, because there's no jump button, so there would be no way for you to get across a big gap except for,
Well, you just do this.
just doing that.
And this should be making it. So you just land on this conveyor here, and now we're just gonna walk to the end of the level. So the unfortunate part of this skip is we are at the end of the level right now, but the only method we have for getting into this worm is the enter from below and respawn method.
Unfortunately, because this part of the world isn't loaded, neither are the checkpoints.
Yep.
So you can't respawn back here. So the reason why we're going to do this skip, the reason why we have two of the same skip is because we're literally going to do that skip two times.
It is still significantly faster than doing the level.
Oh, absolutely. This is not a short level, and it's not a trivial level either. There's some kind of silly parts to it, so this is still by far the better strat.
There's also the distinct possibility right now that I wasn't actually in the trigger when I respawned. And in that case, we're doing it a third time. Hope I was in it.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's just no way of knowing, so Sean has to trust that he hit the checkpoint. And he probably did. I mean, he's good at this. Yeah, there you go.
I think it's been a very long time since I've missed that trigger. Luckily, the camera is in a very good spot for it, so you don't even need emotes, you can just see what you're doing. We're going to be moving on to the final main level of food, which is Jelly Junction. It's quite a fun level.
It's a very cool level.
When it starts, we're going to be on an invisible timer, because at the end of the second island, there is a mold that is going to be used to make jelly gummies that you have to feed to the worm. And it spits out the mold with like a bunch in a row, and then it takes a break for a bit. And the way the cycles line up, you can just barely make the last mold in a burst if you're really, really fast. It's like, imagine there's a bus, and then, the rest follows.
So this section right here is about convincing a donut machine that you are a glazed donut. Fortunately, we're not going to have to do any of that because we're going to jump to the other side of the donut machine.
Yep. Just sneak on to the end here and then respawn here to get the checkpoint. And give them the fruit, and we're on to the second island. So that was very fast, so we should be making a good cycle here, unless something somehow goes wrong, which I guess is possible. I don't know what it would be, though. This first part of Island 2 is very easy. So let's see what we got. And yep, we're good. So you're going to see...
Yep, there's one more mold coming down just in time.
You can see how long it's going to take for the next one to show up. So that's how long we would have been waiting if we didn't make that cycle.
So that jelly that we made is just to appetize this worm. As soon as that flips over, it's going to open his mouth for us.
And now we're going to move on to the section where supposedly there's a pizza you can make.
Yeah, we're going to make pizza.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So you could go up this elevator and work on cutting the tomatoes. It's quite fun. Or you can just do this.
I'm so sad. We found so many great strats for dealing with the tomatoes.
Yeah, the tomato making is actually a pretty cool part. There's a lot of like rhythm to it and timing that we're not doing. And here's where
now we're in the second half of making it.
You would put the pizza together. You would put the toppings on here. But the worm's right here, and I can just flip in from below. So no pizza.
Yeah, there's like 5 steps to making a pizza. Jumping down here skips 2 of them. Going in the worm skips the other 3.
I have no idea if that was in. I don't think it was. I shouldn't have respawned. I should just set it up again. Well, time to find out. So this one's much harder than the last one because I can't actually see what I'm doing. I have to trust my emotes, which they're good. Emotes are great. Emotes are one of the best discoveries in this game, but
that was Rare-like, right? Rare-like discovered the way to use the emotes to help.
Okay. There we go. I think that's in.
Because you can see, like, he's trying to manipulate one of the heads to go in the loading zone, but you can't see anything over there, and there's no visual indicator to know if you're even close. You would just have to more or less guess based on your inputs, but the emote really does make a big difference in being able to get a clue of what's going on there.
Yeah, imagine trying to route this with just muscle memory.
Can't imagine.
It's unpleasant. There we go.
There we go.
So,
And since we made such a lovely pizza, here's our pizza that we made, that was us, that we did.
oh, it actually has two. Oh no, it's strawberry tomato cheese. It looks like it's the default pizza.
Yeah, the default pizza has 2 strawberries on it.
It's quite a good pizza. It's what my order
pizza.
is.
Now, loading the boss. This is pointless, but I just want to share it. It doesn't care whether or not you get to the boss trigger. The boss trigger is when the pizza gets to the boss trigger. So you don't have to go along with it.
It's not quite how it works.
It's like a timing thing when the pizza box closes, though, right?
Yeah, it's a load after time trigger in the pizza box. So as long as you touch the trigger after a few seconds, it will load. All the boss triggers are like that, and a few other triggers for some reason. Most triggers in the game activate instantly.
So here you're supposed to like slowly feed Tony and get to the top of the screen where he'll finally open his mouth so you can get into his stomach. There's a little like munchlet parasite in his stomach that's making him hungry. But Sean just jumps into his belly through the side.
Look at all this level.
Look at all this level.
There's so much here. I've never done any of it. This is the only way I've ever done this boss fight. I'm gonna be honest. So we are very quickly approaching the end of the game here. So
yeah, we're going into the final world. If you want to call it that. It's our outro here.
I don't know if this will work. Let's find out.
That feels close.
So it's possible to fall into the level trigger in the cutscene. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool.
That skips about 5 seconds of waiting for the cutscene to end before you can go into the level. So nice to get that. And here we are in the final level of the game. It is Lost Temple. It's broken up into 2 parts, Lost Temple 1 and Lost Temple 2. The game thinks Lost Temple 1 is going to be much longer, but it's not because it has a very, very large skip that I think skips probably about 7 or 8 minutes of content.
Yeah, the game hasn't really hidden the point, but this is the world where the game kind of makes clear that the Phogs are actually gods and amazing divine creatures. And so we're going to go through some rituals here, except for we're going to skip quite a lot of them. The whole point of this world is there's sort of 2 sides to it. You go to the left side, complete some puzzles, that activates one part of this. You go to the other side, it activates another part of this. This is a huge respawn trigger, by the way, that you can just jump across.
It's a funny one to visualize. It takes up like this entire area here.
Yeah, so the door won't open. We won't be able to get it open. But the benefit here is that this tunnel that you can see right here where the water's pouring out, it should be a complete tunnel. It shouldn't really help us, but because we haven't loaded the rest of the stage, the tunnel is actually, there's no collision past the entrance of it. And so he's going to get inside of there and be able to just jump to behind the door where the loading trigger is for the second
Very
round.
nice.
That was so fast. That is a pretty challenging, I mean, you get the hang of it, but it's a pretty challenging skip there. And he made that look really easy.
All right. So please do not be alarmed. Everything is fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
This is normal.
So yeah, there's a segment in the previous section of the level where the Phogs get cut in half, which we completely skipped, but it's still going to have you be cut in half here because it's technically a different level, so it just spawns you that way. So just gonna...
It's kind of interesting because the mechanics for being 2 different Phogs are actually quite a bit different. It'd be interesting to play more levels with this mechanically just because of how different the gameplay is. Mm-hmm. But we will see some of that, like one Phog being able to hold on to the body of the other in order to anchor them.
Yeah.
I'll point out as well, the thing that might be obvious to you watching is that this game's kind of intended to be played in co-op, so each player is controlling one of the Phogs and the Foghead. Sean makes this look really easy in solo play, but I mean, you're controlling 2 completely different characters at the same time.
It really does test your ability to actually genuinely multitask. And specifically here, I'm going to give up and do this section one at a time because good luck. Just got to get this guy over here so that I can uppy up and grab on, which is sometimes tricky. He's being a pain. Okay, I do have water in me, right? Yes.
You should have enough left, yeah.
Yeah, we're good. So, just a few more sections left in the game here. Gonna head on up here.
Yeah, we're coming up to the final ritual, which would rejoin the Phogs into one as they are meant to be. Unfortunately, the skip that we're going to do, that Sean's going to do here in order to skip this cutscene, is also going to skip the trigger for the best music in the game.
This game has an incredible soundtrack, so it really is a shame. If your favorite song is 433, I've got great news for you.
Yeah, unfortunately, the John Cage fans are going to be the only ones celebrating right now.
Because, yeah, we just got a bit of silence for the rest of the run.
This escape sequence right here has, by far, in my opinion, the best song in the game, so it's a crime that we don't get to hear it. Sean's going to do a very specific setup here to try to get a big launch off of this capsule opening. It's going to drape one head off the side. Let's see how far we get.
About as expected.
Yeah.
Technically, it's possible to get all the way onto... Whoa! Okay.
Oh, you almost got that.
Yeah. So it's possible to have these lift you up, which is much faster than what the game expects you to do. There we go.
Yeah, this isn't the intended strategy, but it works.
All right, and now we have one final skip, and then we're going to end the game. So time is coming up very soon. So we just got to get to the center of this. And
We used to just skip this wall because the respawn trigger for the other side does stretch across. But you can actually keep the gravity state.
Yeah, I just turned on creative mode. So I'm just going to...
Time's coming up very soon.
Yeah, time is very soon. I really preempted the D-stretch there, but that's fine. And time. So that is it for Phogs. Shoutouts to Oth for agreeing to do commentary with me. It really helped me out. I appreciate it. And also for Oth and Gilder for really getting routing this game started. Because I don't imagine anyone really, me, Rare, or Callie would have played this game if not for them. So it's great. Thanks to Rare for being a great co-op partner. Wish you could be here on commentary. Love you, buddy. But thanks to Calumag for creating the means to make this run good. And
finding some stuff on his own. Yeah.
And finding a good portion of stuff in this game. If you are interested in learning this game, I'd love it if someone did. This is one of the most underrated speed games I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, we have a small but loving community. We'd be happy to show you the ropes, any one of us.
If you have any questions about this game, feel free to ask me. I'd be more than happy to ansher. But other than that, that's the end of the game. So,
Sean, you do have a tutorial, right? It's a little out of date.
It's a little out of date, but
it does show the mechanics.
Yes. But other than that, yeah, that is going to be it from us.
Thank you.
Oh, that was such a cool game, right? I had 2 donations that came in here, both from Poe both for $25. One didn't have a comment, but the second one says bork 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 bork. And with that, it is time for me to sign off. It has been an honor and a pleasure to be your host for the first online segment of Summer Games Done Quick 2023. We're going to be taking a short break, and we'll be back with more GDQ right after this.
You are watching Summer Games Done Quick 2023, powered by Twitch. My name is Bobby Blackwolf. How you doing today? It's been a morning. We've had some good stuff, and we've got some good stuff coming up. We've got Alien Swarm coming up. It's a co-op race. Or co-op, not a race. Maybe they're racing. I don't know. Kakustas and Mr. Deagle are going to be doing that co-op. Kakustas, you've seen them before. SGDQ 2020 doing Neon Boost. At AGDQ 2021 doing a bunch of Serious Sam co-ops. And Mr. Deagle also has been doing a lot of co-ops here on the GDQ stage. At AGDQ 2016 doing this same game, Alien Swarm. 2017 doing Left 4 Dead, 2018 doing Left 4 Dead 2, and 2019 doing Serious Sam, The First Encounter, all co-op. It's gonna be amazing. I do want to mention that we've got some bid wars that still need to be met. Bloodstained, Curse of the Moon, any percent with the Out of Bounds upgrade. We've raised almost $1,500 out of the $5,000. Go ahead and get your donations in for that, and be sure to click the incentive once you've gotten your amount in on the donate page. We also want to make things a little bit harder for them. Bloodstained Curse of the Moon 2, an upgrade to veteran difficulty. That needs $7,500, and we've gotten a little bit over $800 so far. So you can even split your donation incentives across both of those to make things a little bit harder on our runners, because we like doing that. Let's get into some donations here while we're waiting for the next run to set up. We have a $50 donation from Gavin and Finn. Hi, I'm Finn, and this is my brother Gavin. We are 8, and we love SGDQ. We hope this money helps people in need. Thanks, bye! Thank you so much, Gavin and Finn. It is going to Doctors Without Borders, and they are going to appreciate every dollar amount. If it's $5 or more than $5, it doesn't matter. Every little bit counts. We have a $20 donation from Cyberbot X saying, "Good morning, SGDQ. How is everyone doing? Looking forward to these upcoming runs. Best of luck to the runners. Let's get Bloodstained Curse of the Moon upgraded to any percent with the Out of Bounds." Thank you so much for that, Cyberbot X. Remember, we do have some incentives. When you donate after you put the amount in, be sure to check which incentives you want your donation to go to, and you can split them up. And now I am being told that we are ready for Alien Storm co-op. So, Kakustas and Mr. Deagle, show us how it's done.